Hello, it's been a while since I've made a video. I finally got all my stuff updated. My old iMac decided it wanted to stop working on me. So I ended up having to go get a new one. So this way I could continue to make videos and upload them and everything else. So, and a lot's gone on since then. So we've had an election here. We've had, well, pretty large election, I should say. A lot of people reaching out, looking to end a lot of different conflicts and whatnot. So I guess we'll see what happens there. But I don't know, I still have a feeling that we're not out of the woods. Even, and I don't look at, no matter who anybody voted for, we're to love our neighbors. We're supposed to love them the way we want to be loved. Whether your candidate won, whether your candidate lost, there's a thing about winning with grace and losing with grace. So, and it's not about you per se. I will state that there was a lot of interesting, evil things that one side was definitely campaigning on. And I'm not talking about the whole one side calling the other side fascist, the other side calling the other side communist, Nazis, all that political rhetoric, which is all just a bunch of, for lack of a better term, it's all BS at the end of the day. You can, if you really get out of your little group think bubbles and you go research each candidate, you'll start to realize why the candidate who won actually won. A lot of people stopped listening to the mainstream media and started to actually go out and be like, is this what he really stated? If you're thinking about the one candidate or the other candidate, is it true that she changed her mind on these policies and how she's going to do the exact opposite that she's always stated? Then she's going to do the exact opposite and from what she had always stated prior. Chances of that happening was nil. But anyway, this isn't supposed to be about politics in the essence of talking about politics. But it is in essence to be talking about, one, the first person on your mind that you should always have on your mind and in your heart and everything that you do is Jesus Christ. That is the most important thing. So that being stated, in everything we look at what's going on in the world, are we about to have 3.5 years of peace? I don't know. Are we about to have something extraordinary happen? I don't know that either. But there are a lot of interesting takes out there. For instance, I watched one person go through and talk about what the different horses might be representing. And I don't know. I mean, I know what the Bible states, but that also leads to, okay, exactly what is it talking about? Because, I mean, we've had the pandemic, and if the white horse stands for something along the lines of medical, it was a rider with a crown, coronavirus, also a bow, something that attacks through the air, but it was missing the needle, or not the needle, but, well, everyone took a needle from the medical perspective for health and safety. And then all of a sudden now we have a bunch of wars popping up. Israel's being attacked, Russia's attacking, Russia's making really good friends with China, and then really good friends with Iran, and now really good friends with North Korea. Is the red horse riding right now? And anytime that there's wars, look at all the people right now that are looking for food. All the people in Gaza right now, the people who aren't involved in the warfare. And Israel even stated that they're trying to get the supplies to the people who actually need them. But as they're trying to go in with the supplies, now they're being attacked again. What about all the people in war in Ukraine? Or those people who are on the front lines in their towns and villages who have nothing to do with the combat? Where are they getting their food from? Who's bringing in food, if they can even get the food in those towns? So all of a sudden, war brings famine. It brings a loss of food to people's rations. And with those three things, when your health is being attacked, and there are people that are still suffering from the pandemic that occurred. And now we know all those shots that everyone got didn't do a thing, didn't do anything. Now, granted, I did a lot of digging into it when they first started talking about the technology that they used. So I did a lot of digging. I went back and looked at how the technology came about, who created it, when did they create it, how did they put it into practice to find out if it worked or not, which they tested it on 5 different viruses. Guess what? Never worked then, didn't work now. But they got the entire world to do those things. Not the entire world. There's a lot of people who resisted. Probably not the right, I don't know if that's the right word to say, but they didn't give in to the experiment. But now you have wars going on. Wars lead to famine. Famine leads to death. All 3 of those will lead to death, which is the 4th horseman. But someone brought it up and they're like, well, that pale horse, where if it's greenish in color, maybe that's the whole climate agenda. Look who's running with the climate agenda, UN. UN's pushing it bigger than ever, like, oh, we got to save the world because of the climate crisis. What climate crisis? Scientists can't even tell you exactly how warm the Earth was prior to the last ice age. And if the body is as close to the sun as it is, it could just be naturally warming back up to what it was prior to the ice age. And as more and more ice melts, more and more ground surface area is exposed, which therefore retains heat. Yeah, the world would warm up a little bit faster every year until it got back to the point of temperature where it was prior to the ice age. One thing I did notice is you go to any tropical island and you look at the size of the life on those islands. I'm talking about, I live in the United States where the biggest land snail I've ever seen is about the size of a dime, is about the biggest one I've ever seen where I live. In Okinawa, Japan, they're about the size, I would say, bigger than a softball. The spiders. You get an orb spider here in your garden. It's about like yay big with its legs out. Running on the trails in Okinawa, working out, and all of a sudden you stop because there's a web that goes across the entire trail and you got a spider about this freaking big with its legs out. What about the flying foxes? They call them flying foxes. Why? It's a bat, but it looks, no kidding, like a black fox with a wingspan longer than my body. The wingspan's over 6 foot long. How hot and oxygenated was the world when dinosaurs, also known as dragons, walked the earth? Giant life forms are sustained in tropical climates. Bigger life forms survive better there. So maybe that's where the earth is going back to. And maybe, just maybe, that's why they want to stop it. But I don't think humans are causing as much as they say they're causing. I think a lot of it's just naturally happening, and there's nothing they're going to be able to do about it. But that's all part of God's plan. So if that's part of God's plan, nobody's stopping it. But anyway, I should probably just get to the point of this particular video. And I don't know, maybe it's nothing, maybe it's something, I have no idea. Like I stated, I don't necessarily talk about rapture, whether it's pre-trib, mid-trib, post-trib, or if it even happens at all. There's a lot of verses that people point to defend their take on it. Once again, God's plan. God will do whatever God wants to do. But I will state that I did have a dream where 37 was impressed upon me over and over again. 37. Why? Why the number 37? Was it 37 days? Because if it was 37 days, and I've been sitting here on this, and I've finally got everything up, I'm making my first video, that was 12 days ago. So we'd be down to 25 days. And if 25 days is right, and then, here's the interesting part. When I wrote it all down on the calendar, I might have missed a day. So it's either day 25 or it's day 24, like 25 days left or 24 days left, depending on if I put the date on the right date when I was writing it all out on the calendar. I don't know. Maybe it has to deal with something along the lines of no one will know the day nor the hour. So is it 24 days from now, 25 days from now? It would be December 6th or December 7th. December 7th is the remembrance of Pearl Harbor. So, I don't know. It's just something that was impressed upon me. And when I did now I did pray about this too. I prayed about this and I said, God, just, if 37 was what you were trying to portray to me, can you show me it? Show me it. Now, granted, when I do my praying, I'm driving to work. I had my hand up in the center of the steering wheel, so I couldn't really see all my dash. And as soon as I went through a traffic light, and I asked God at that particular point in time, I was like, just show me something that says that, prove that that's something that I'm supposed to be aware of. And I went back and I went to 9 and 3, because that's typically the way when I race cars. 9 and 3 is where my hands are at because it gives you the best turn radius. Well, when I went from noon on the steering wheel and I went down to 9 and 3, right there in front of me in the big digitized numbers is 37. Why not 35? Why not 39? Why not 40? Typically, I do 7 to 10 miles per hour over the speed limit. I know, I shouldn't. I kind of do. Speed limit on the road was 35, and here I am doing 37. Not knowing it, but right there, 2 big, bold letters, or numbers, in front of me. 37. On the day that I had that dream before I went to work. And it was being impressed upon me, like, you need to know this number. Okay. So now my question then is, and in that reference, it was about days. So I don't know what's going to happen in 37 days. There's a lot of things. There's a lot of things going on in the world right now. I went down an entire list of things that I postulated could possibly happen. This was before the election. Even when I had the 37 days in my head that night, when I woke up the next day, The election hadn't happened yet. So I came up with a thing at work, and I told a couple of people, I was like, all right, this is the way I see it going when it comes to the election. 1, Democrats win outright. Somehow. I didn't think it was going to happen, but it was possible. Personally, I didn't think it was going to happen. I didn't think the Democrats had a very good message, and I think the Republicans stuck to the plan of these are our policies, and people want policies, not feelings right now, especially the way things are going right now in the United States. So, but I stated, number 1, and it's from Democrats down to Republicans, it's like, number 1, Democrats win outright. All right, we get 4 more years of the current crap we had going on. Okay, let's find out what happens. Roll with the punches. Number 2 was they win, but then there's a lot of black swan events, or things that happen that make people go not trust the process. And even the night of the election, when I was watching some of these, I wasn't watching necessarily the election itself. I really didn't watch any of it. I just go through Facebook feed and stuff like that, and I would see, oh, Pennsylvania has problems with voting machines in such and such county. And it's like, here we go. Is this what's going to happen? Well, I went to bed. I was like, you know what? Whatever ends up happening, ends up happening. I'm going to wake up tomorrow. Me watching it all night long isn't going to change the results. I'm going to bed. I'll wake up. Whatever has happened is happened. Chances are we won't even know. Anyway, so that was number 2. Number 3 was the Democrats lose. But the power doesn't get transferred over until January 21st, I believe. So they decide, hey, we lost. All we have to do is give Ukraine the word to use our weapons, long range into Russia. Putin's already stated, you do that, essentially you've declared war on Russia. You will start World War III. So maybe the Democrats say, you know what, let's do that. And if World War III starts, we can impress upon the people martial law, curfews, and we can suspend Congress until a time when it feels safe that we can reassume the typical government processes. Because, nukes could be involved. And that leads me to some of my videos I've made before about Mystery Babylon. Mystery Babylon will be wiped out in 1 hour. Who is Mystery Babylon, though? And it'll be wiped out with fire. How can you destroy entire cities or a country in 1 hour? Massive nuke laydown. Not hard to think of. Heck, you can read any sci-fi novel or war novel that talks about nuclear warfare, and you can figure that one out. But I was like, no, it's a possibility. I don't think that'll happen, but it's a possibility. I don't know. Number 4, they lose. Democrats lose. Republicans win. But the attempts on Trump continue. And here we find out 2 Iranians were arrested and 1's on the loose. Iran has already stated they're going to keep trying to assassinate Trump. Where's that going to lead? It's another possibility. And then there's number 5, that the Republicans win outright, meaning they win the popular vote and they win the electoral vote. So that's the American people stating, nope, we're not going down the same 4 years that we just went down. We want actual change. That's what it appears to be right now. But then one of my coworkers pointed out to me, he goes, well, did you ever look at one of the deals that they signed to use active duty troops for civil unrest, which goes against Posse Comitatus. Yeah. So that led to another one. I was like, okay, now I have a sixth COA. Republicans win outright, but before any of it happens, civil wars incited. And we go to war against one another. And we burn our own cities down. Gee, has there ever been any instance of one side going out because they're pissed off about something? They didn't get their way, so they go and burn stuff down? Minneapolis. There's a lot of possibilities. There's still a lot of time before anybody steps into office. Another thing that could possibly happen that I just thought of just the other day was, who's to say that Biden doesn't get forced down or something happens to Biden and Kamala steps in? And then she tries to do something interesting. Anyway, there's a lot of different possibilities. All I know is 37 was impressed upon my mind. That was approximately 12 days ago, or it was 13 days ago. Like I said, I might have made a mistake when I wrote it on the calendar. So, I don't know. I'm kind of curious. What's going to happen December 6th, December 7th? Maybe nothing. Or maybe something. I'm going to keep my eyes peeled to those 2 days. Find out. But after all I've just stated, there's one thing each and every one should be doing, and that is being prepared for any circumstance. And the only way to be prepared for any circumstance is by putting your full love and faith in Jesus Christ. If you do that, doesn't matter what happens in this world. For the world is temporary. Our time in this world is temporary. It's what comes after. We need to be prepared for then. And the only way to be prepared for then is to have your heart and your mind and everything about you solidly built foundation, which is Jesus Christ. You need Jesus Christ in your life. So either you choose the world or you choose Jesus. Pretty simple choice for me. I already know where I'm going. I'm choosing Jesus. And I have chosen Jesus. And he's provided me answers numerous times to my questions. And I've made tons of videos about that. You can go check those out if you like. Anyway, I'm going to end the video here. More and more people. You're going to have dreams. Going to have visions. Specifically states it in the Bible. In those days, the end of days, people are going to be seeing a lot more. They're going to be experiencing a lot more. It's never happened to me at any other point in time in my life, but it is now. So, anyway, y'all take care. Thanks for watching. Hopefully my videos pique your interest to get into the Bible, to seek out Jesus Christ if you haven't. And if you have, keep reading your Bible. Every time I read it, I get a new understanding of something that I've read before. It's amazing. I mean, when they call it the living word, it is truly the living word. Or I could read something 4 or 5 times, and on the 5th time, all of a sudden, it's like, now I see where it fits. Now I see how it applies. Now I see what was being said. Keep in your word. Anyway, y'all take care. God bless y'all, and y'all have a good night.